20-year anniversary of Making Time, so we wanted to retain that visual language that we've been creating for all these years.
So how can we make this live streaming experience most like Making Time?
We started talking about it, and I was just like, yeah, I'm tired of these like live streams of DJs in their bedrooms with their bullshit disco light. This is like, that is totally not what Dave and I do.
And then he sat and he thought about it for a little bit, and he's like, well, you know what? We can make holograms of the DJs. And I was like, holy shit. We can't do what we do right now, but when we go into that room, we're doing what we do, we're doing what we love.
This is like a portal to this like weird, trippy club.
It's the two of us. Ricardo's in the one corner, he's running all 5 computers. It's super intense.
I'm doing the same thing I was doing 15 years ago. You know, I'm just different buttons that I'm pushing. The visualizer system, and then the visuals behind them, the lights, and then the way I'm projecting onto the thing, the smoke. Nothing else looks like this. My name is Ricardo Rivera. I've been doing either projections or visuals or lights for the past, 17, 18 years at Making Time. But yeah, I'm kind of like the light visualizer guru of Making Time. Let's try. Ooh. Nothing like unplugging the whole system and replugging it back in. Clip Collective is based here. We're in South Philadelphia. We're in this old vocational school called Bach with a bunch of maker spaces in here and different kinds of businesses. And yeah, this is where my creative studio is, and I have a gallery space as well, which is 303, which is where we're creating these holograms. Boom, yes, we got it. Uh-oh, someone's not happy. Is this an easy setup? No, it's very complicated, and it's like literally gaff tape and duct tape together. I mean, if you go look in the setup, there's literal gaff tape and duct tape everywhere. It's very DIY, and I kind of love that. That's just kind of who I am. That's the kind of artist I am. I build these like janky systems, which, from the outside looking in, they're like, oh, this is so beautiful, but like under the hood, it's a jalopy, like, it's kind of a mess. But it works. And that's what I love about doing Making Times. I kind of treat them kind of like art installations.
I'm Dave P. I'm the founder and producer and DJ of Making Time. Making Time is a transcendental futuristic sound experience that was founded in Philadelphia in 2000. At the time, electronic music, when like trance and like progressive house were really like thriving, and there weren't any DJ nights at bigger clubs that represented these genres and represented these DJ nights that were happening in Philadelphia that I really liked.
What Dave did was so special about Making Time, which I loved, was he took the party scene, the dance scene, and he mixed it with this kind of rock and roll indie rock scene, which is very strong in Philadelphia. It wasn't just the same type of like house music or, in that electronic music scene, it's like, you got your drum and bass room, you got your house room, you have your techno room, whereas Dave was spinning like all kinds of stuff and playing songs that I actually liked. And when I started doing visuals for Making Time, it was fun because I was, doing visuals to songs to like Debaser by the Pixies, which I love, and things like that. So what he did was he would bring in these awesome bands into clubs because that was our setting. So here we are in a club, and then he's gonna bring in a band, which meant you had to bring in a whole sound system, a whole special lighting package to light the band. And like the list of bands is insane. You got the Strokes to play Making Time way back in like 2000 for like $100 or some bullshit like that. It's crazy.
That was way before the Strokes were popular. It was before their record even came out. And Making Time after that kind of got this reputation for breaking bands, because then shortly after that, the Strokes became huge. Interpol played before any of their records came out. And we had bands like The Faint, Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, and all of these bands that later became, some of the biggest bands of our time have, played the Hives, and all of these bands were asking to play the party.
A huge, awesome list of contemporary music in that scene. But what was great about Making Time that was different was like when the band was done, the party wasn't done. When the band was done, the DJs would go back on and the venue turned back into a club, and then people could dance all night. And that was special. I met Dave, pretty sure it was 2002. I had kind of seen him around town before then. They had Red Bull on board to pay for visuals, and they wanted me to come and do visuals for Making Time.
That was when, it became a visual and, a light visual and installation experience as well, more immersive. And that's a big part of what separates Making Time from, any other party.
It's been a long 18 years of doing visuals and lights at Making Time, and over that long period, it went from, just this relationship where we talk about, not only shows that were coming up for Making Time, like what kind of lights should we get or what kind of visuals I'm gonna do, to, oh, we got this new venue, how are we gonna change things there, to even making crazy light fixtures that were kind of part of the Making Time look. And then, it kind of evolved into he's literally one of my best friends. I get a little prickly because there's a lot of work. There's always issues, and I know technically what needs to get done and what's possible, and Dave's always pushing it.
Because I don't know what needs to be done technically, and I'm just like, why can't we do this? And
it's usually a good question, why can't you do this? You've always pushed me. It's always, Dave actually cares, which is really nice. And it's he's watching what I'm doing. He knows what's going on, and it's funny, every time if I take a break, I get a text literally 5 minutes after I step away from the desk.
Where are you?
Where are you?
20 years in club life is an eternity, and it's something to celebrate. I've been thinking about and planning what we were gonna do for this anniversary, for the 20th anniversary for 2 years. We were going to do our first festival in September at the Navy Yard for 8,000 people.
One idea that I loved was we were gonna make a mini club outside with shipping containers. We had to go inside all these shipping containers, and I was gonna have it all crazy lit and make this mini dark club. But yeah, then COVID happened and that all went. Goodbye.
It didn't take very long for me to realize that, okay, we're not gonna go back into a club until 2021, and probably deep into 2021. We weren't going to be able to celebrate our 20th anniversary.
A lot of who we are is output. I as an artist, he as a DJ, we need to make things. That's what we do. So people started live streaming right away, which was, we were I don't know if this is for us. Walking into the spaces is kind of our thing. So doing stuff on a flat screen is definitely a challenge. At the same time, my 303 space, the gallery attached to my studio here, I was just in the midst of setting it up for another art installation in there. But then, the pandemic hit, so that stopped, but I had already installed those lights. And I was talking to Dave, and he was like, yeah, the Lot Radio wants me to do a live stream. You think we could do it in there? And I was like, hells yeah, let's totally do it in there. Because I can control the lights, I can bang the lights out to you DJing, and it'll be kind of like we're in a club for two.
And I was like, okay, we're doing this, I'm doing these streams in here. How can we make this bigger? How can we make this more exciting? How could we create this transcendental futuristic sound experience, which part of Making Time is having this constant stream of guests from around the world. The next step would be bring in guests.
He wished he could bring those people into that space. And he was just thinking out loud, and we were on the phone, and he was like, I wish there was a way. He's like, is there a way you can put them on a screen or project them in there?
Sometimes I have ideas that make absolutely no sense at all. And I say it to Ricardo, and he looks at me like I'm completely insane.
Like every other thing with Dave, he always has this idea which I reject immediately, because I'm like, that's just too much work, fuck that.
But in this case, it was a little bit different.
And I was like, well, wait, I actually had this thing I made for Sundance 2 years ago, that's like this weird smoke chamber that I project into. I was like, I could actually kind of turn them into holograms. He's like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, I think we can make holograms out of them if they shoot them right. He's like, wait, stop.
And I was immediately just like, fuck yeah, like this is gonna be amazing. And I mean, and there was a part of it where I was like, can he really do this? And it was like, is this really gonna happen? And then we did it.
One of the challenges was like, how do I make the DJ look interesting? Because we all know that that's kind of not so fun to look at. I've been battling this problem for 20 years, since the rave days. That's why I exist, doing visuals, you know? When we did the thing at Sundance, my friend Florian, who's based in LA, created this kind of visual processing system in a program called Touch Designer. You know, we made this like thing called Frankenstein AI with an old colleague of mine. It's kind of like this Rut Etra look, which is like an old 70s video synthesizer vibe.
Hi, I'm Bill Etra, and this is the Rut Etra video synthesizer.
We break down the values of light.
The height and width of an image, the intensity of an image, and the position of an image.
And create depth with it and lines.
And when we use these controls in combination, we are able to animate the image.
Make it a little more malleable.
To move the image through the effect.
So I called Florian up, we called it Bride of Frankenstein, and we started rebuilding it. And I was like, well, I want to turn it into an instrument.
He wanted to continue iterating on Frankenstein, or let the monster evolve. I had a lot more ideas for where I wanted to go with it, and I told him as much. I wanted to find a way to present him with all the possible things that he can control, but then be able to choose among those things which bits he wanted to control and what the sort of ranges are.
You know, as you can see, there's a lot of things going on here. There's a lot of sliders and parameters and numbers. And going through this as a menu system with sliders in your mouse is extremely obtuse and unintuitive. So what Florian did for me was anything that I wanted to mess with, I could then go like this, and he made what's called a MIDI mapper, which basically is just wherever I can map this to something on here and then change the parameters to min max. So when I'm in the mix, I'm listening to music, I'm trying to interpret it, go with the vibe, instead of like me disconnecting my brain from listening to the music and trying to feel the music and going into menus, I just know that I can slide this thing up and know that it's gonna do what it needs to do. I can manipulate the frequency of dots, if you will, pixels, whatever, on the x-axis and the y-axis. So if I pull the y-axis down, throw some smoke on there, you got some help me Obi-Wan Kenobi vibes. So not only can I like change the depth or the amount of pixels, like I could just go down, this is like the Y, I can make them just like a bunch of dots, which is really cool. I can manipulate even the pixel shape. Right now I'm on a square, I can make them hexagons, diamonds. I use the diamonds a lot. These are called the rods. And the other great thing that Florian did for me is I can use the actual audio from my mixing board that's playing off the DJ set itself, is not only recording to everything, but it's also going into this machine. So I can then take this, and this is the waveform from the audio coming in. So right now this is the bass hit. So I'm gonna kind of put that there, and then I can do this, and as you can see, now it goes to the audio. And this actually is doing something really interesting. It's actually running two things. One is I have one media bin here with a bunch of video clips and visuals that I have. That's actually going into the background here. So you can see me turning it on and off here. So I can manipulate things in here, change things, play different things to go into the background here. But it's also on these bins that I can mix, goes into the lights. The video for the lights is actually going into this machine, my laptop, and that is translating the video into the LED lights above us. And then everything is captured in the camera that we have over here, pointing at the smoke box, getting the lens flares and all that cool stuff. And then the camera is then plugged into this machine, which is my capture machine. And this is kind of like my preview monitor of what's, you know, what people are gonna be seeing, the final product.
I really like that Rick's process is so manual. Like, he's someone that loves to do work in camera, and he likes to solve problems that other people might be tempted to solve with visual effects trickery by, you know, taking a big ball of cotton and stuffing it full of lights because it looks right.
They record it, they send it to space, I get it back over here, and then I put it into the system and I turn them into a hologram, and it's kind of wild. Then this kind of roller coaster started happening where, you know, the idea was like, okay, well, how do we get DJs to shoot themselves? How do we have them supply the right type of video? Because you have to kind of obey a certain set of rules for this effect to work, if you will.
At first, we created just a document, you know, of how to do it. And then we realized that, you know, this wasn't enough. DJs are not the most tech savvy when it comes to video. I mean, they're very good with audio technology, but not video technology, including myself.
So we ended up making a how-to video, which is really funny, where I actually made Dave do everything. So I was like, let's just make you do everything on camera so that the DJs know that they can do it too.
One of the first things we always stress is that you can't wear a dark colored shirt. And of course, I show up wearing a navy shirt. These people had to make this work in their homes. Just like this whole project has been, you know, an adaptation to, you know, the current climate, like everyone had to adapt, and we had to constantly adapt with each artist and figure, you know, and just kind of problem solve with each artist. Every time we record one of these holograms, I get more excited because the technology keeps evolving. Ricardo's ability to use the technology is evolving. The artists get more excited. I can't fucking wait for people to see this because, you know, I know it's going to be really special. I think a lot of people thought by this time there was something magical was going to happen. Maybe there was going to be a vaccine, or just, I think a lot of people really thought that we would maybe be going into clubs. I'm just very happy that like we can provide this for those people at a time where like I think people really need this right now.
Do yourself a favor, put it on, turn off all the lights, pipe this shit right into your big TV, hook it up to your like loudest sound system, and just have it on.
Nothing replaces being in a club. You know, this is not going to ever replace that, and it's never going to be as good as being in a club. But you know, no one's gonna spill a drink on you. You're not gonna have to like talk to some annoying person that's like trying to talk to you. No one's gonna like smash into you. Like all the like negative aspects of going to a nightclub, they're all gone. Like this totally eradicates that. I mean, that's kind of great.
Also, this is the same thing as like anything else that we create. We're just creating a vibe. It's there, the visual's there for you to enjoy, but you don't have to watch the whole thing. It should surround you. This isn't a sit down, watch the TV affair. This is like, have it on loud, and party. And let's just try to like be normal for a little bit and enjoy this music.